Welcome to my little talk about how technology choices can impact collaboration in a classroom. My class happens to be a science class. Today I would like to look at specifically the lab report because it will look familiar to many disciplines of study. When I first received my class set of laptops so that each student could have their own, I was very excited about the collaboration that would happen. After my students would perform a lab, which is a whole different video, they would complete a formal lab write-up. Trying to encourage those 21st century learning skills of communication, literacy, critical thinking, and collaboration, I assigned group lab reports. My students are intelligent and efficient, so they divided to conquer. One person would do the graph, another the introduction, and still finally another the procedure. Moments before it was due, they would copy, paste, and print. Each had their own piece of the puzzle, but putting their pieces together was less than uplifting. Within the same document, the headings had different fonts, different margins. In some cases, the color of the font varied. Conclusions did not always match the introduction. Some used past tense, others used present. The group was only as smart as the individual doing that piece. Members of the group did not learn from each other. Cannot be called collaboration, any more than poets who have their works compiled in some book can also be called collaboration. When there is only one laptop, there is a leader that emerges. A friend of mine calls this the mouse wars. He who controls the mouse controls the conversation, and some reports say they learn as much as 30% more than their teammates. The small screen and seating arrangement does not allow for more than 2 people to gather very well. As you watch this next video, pay attention to the body language of the people around. All information gets funneled through the front. And it's clearly not sustainable for long questions. And move on to mobiles with the bring your own device movement. The introduction of ubiquitous mobile technologies such as iPod Touch, iPhone, and iPads allows students to work independently on their own schedules and then easily share with a group. Inevitably, a group member was tasked with collecting the individual work, reformatting it, rewriting for consistency. The advantage is that the hard work of writing and thinking is largely done outside of class time and allowed for other activities during precious class. The huge disadvantage is that the collector was the one who was thinking, putting the pieces together. Some of my students will need the science content that I will be giving them, but they'll probably review that content in first year anyways. All of my students will need to be able to write, not just the collector. This is only really a small variation on the funnel situation. The group is only as smart as the collector. Are these people really working together? Look at how crowded they are. One person is controlling the mouse, the other people are able to see just barely. The group dynamics are not that great. This is a high-functioning group as well. Is it working on a group of 4 on a laptop?
It's hard.
It's hard? Would you rather be using a smartboard? You would? Why?
Because it's more fun. And everybody can see it easily and have more access to it.
So this whole one-to-one technology thing certainly had its benefits, but as far as group collaboration, it has some issues. So we decided if we wanted students to work in groups, they weren't doing it outside of class, so let's do it during class. And so maybe we should spend time in class doing group work. This is going to take up precious class time, and it's going to cost us some less essential content. Here's a group that is using a data projector. One person has become the recorder. This is different than the funnel, though. The people on the side are working together. The information is flowing between them. The seating arrangement allows for everybody to work well together. The large format allows things to happen. Now here's my favorite situation with an interactive whiteboard. These interactive whiteboards happens to be the Dual Touch 800 series smartboards made by Spark Technologies. It shares the advantages of the data projector, where small groups of 3 and 5 can conveniently gather around the work, but it goes a step further. Each member in the group can interact with the work. My anecdotal observation seems to indicate that the conversation is not only increased, but is more democratic and equitable. Everyone can share. In this video, you can see that two people are the main users of the document, but our two outsiders are still fully engaged. Each member has an area of expertise. Each expert shares their skills. Each group member has a chance to learn from everyone else. In time, when an expert is missing, the group can fill in the blanks. We don't hear anymore that Johnny's not here, so we can't get his part done. For the first time, the group is now smarter than all of the individuals. Here we have people sharing their expertise. One of them is an English second language student. And they're showing off how to use the technology for editing. This later leads on to her being involved with where the editing happens to occur, and other students are arranging things for them. The girl on the right is doing some highlighting, and then the person on the left knows the technology, and so they're engaged in the English section of it, the language section, because he knows the technology.
They didn't fulfill the purpose. They did not state what reflection it was.
Okay. You know, it'd be even better.
What would be even better?
If instead of pen comments, it would be voice recorded comments.
Oh, come on. There we go.
But they're also talking about deeper issues of the work. In this video, you have one person who's placing the cursor and the other person who's doing the typing. The two on the outside are making suggestions to what should happen. And then with these three girls, you have one person typing. She decides she didn't like the spelling and the word choice, and so another person kicks in and helps out. There's some discussion happening, and then another person decides to add an extra adverb. Our fourth person has just been coming in from a little visit around, looking at other groups, and is now paying attention. There's lots of space for her to quickly get caught up. So where is the best collaboration? Is it where they conquer and divide and work as individuals? Can they piece things together? Maybe it looks like one document, maybe it looks like 3 different flavors. Is this collaboration where they have all a synced situation? Maybe they're working on the same piece of the puzzle, maybe they're not. I think this is the best collaboration, where you have all members of the group working together. Everybody can see what everybody else is doing. Everybody has a role. The experts can show the novices, and you have some great group dynamics. There's interdependence and cooperation, and they're intertwined. Here's my ideal situation. Students work together on the lab. Then they disperse and work on their individual tasks with individual technology. This allows them to think without the contamination from the other group and gives them an area of expertise and a role to play when the group reconvenes. It is vital that the group reconvenes so that social constructivism can occur during the discussing, the arguing, the critical thinking. This is hard work that requires great group dynamics, and I don't believe that students gather around small screens, even if the screens are synced, will facilitate good group dynamics. A smart board is so important to act as a hub for learning. Too often I am too much of a hurry to cover more chapters that I neglect that last and absolutely most important step, coming back together. This last step where we gather together around a common piece of work is the only place where we get to practice synergy, where the group becomes smarter than all the individuals, where the whole is more than the sum of the parts, and where the individuals with weak areas are supported. The individual is better for being part of the group, and this is more important than the quality of any final product. My ideal situation sees everybody working together on the same project at the same time. In the past, schools would write grants and proposals about getting class sets of calculators, but very soon students came with their own. I think coming into the future, we're going to see a repeat of history, where right now we're writing grants and proposals to get class sets of individual technology, but soon students will arrive with it. And so soon we will be in a situation where no longer do we spend taxpayer money on calculators and very soon we won't be spending money on individual technology. This means that we should be able to focus our resources on what happens in the classroom where there's collaboration and group work. And perhaps we'll be spending money on our hubs for collaboration rather than individual technology. Thank you for listening, and you can follow me on Twitter at iFogs, @IFOGGS.